Ishmael Chapter 3, Sections 3 and 4. This story, Ishmael said, takes place 500 million years ago, an inconceivably long time ago, when this planet would be all but unrecognizable to you. Nothing at all stirred on the land except the wind and the dust. Not a single blade of grass waved in the wind. Not a single cricket chirped. Not a single bird soared in the sky. All these things were tens of millions of years in the future. Even the seas were eerily still and silent, for the vertebrates, too, were tens of millions of years away in the future. But of course there was an anthropologist on hand. What sort of world would it be without an anthropologist? He was, however, a very depressed and disillusioned anthropologist, for he'd been everywhere on the planet looking for someone to interview, and every tape in his knapsack was blank as the sky. But one day he was moping along beside the ocean when he saw what seemed to be a living creature in the shallows offshore. It was nothing to brag about, just a sort of squishy blob, but it was the only prospect he'd seen in all of his journeys. So he waded out to where it was bobbing in the waves. He greeted the creature politely and was greeted in kind. And soon the two of them were good friends. The anthropologist explained as well as he could that he was a student of lifestyles and customs, and begged his new friend for information of this sort, which was readily forthcoming. And now, he said at last, I like to get on tape, in your own words, some of the stories you tell among yourselves. Stories? The other asked. You know, like your creation myth, if you have one. What's a creation myth? The creature asked. Oh, you know, the anthropologist replied, the fanciful tale you tell your children about the origins of the world. Well, at this, the creature drew itself up indignantly, at least as well as a squishy blob can do, and replied that his people had no such fanciful tale. You have no account of creation, then? Certainly we have account of creation, the other snapped, but it's definitely not a myth. Oh, certainly not, the anthropologist said, remembering his training at last. I'll be terribly grateful if you share it with me. Very well, the creature said. But I want you to understand that, like you, we are a strictly rational people who accept nothing that is not based on observation, logic, and the scientific method. Of course, the anthropologist agreed. So at last the creature began its story. The universe, it said, was born a long, long time ago, perhaps 10 or 15 billion years ago. Our own solar system, this star, this planet, and all the others seem to have come into being some 2 or 3 billion years ago. For a long time, nothing whatever lived here. But then, after 1 billion years or so, life appeared. Excuse me, the anthropologist said. You say that life appeared. Where did that happen according to your myth? I mean, according to your scientific account. The creature seemed baffled by the question and turned a pale lavender. Do you mean in what precise spot? No, I mean, did this happen on land or in the sea? Land? The other asked. What is land? Oh, you know, he said, waving toward the shore, that expanse of dirt and rocks that begins over there. The creature turned a deeper shade of lavender and said, I can't imagine what you're gibbering about. The dirt and rocks over there are simply the lip of a vast bowl that holds the sea. Oh, yes, the anthropologist said. I see what you mean. Quite. Go on. Very well, the other said. For many millions of centuries, the life in the world was merely microorganisms, floating helplessly in a chemical broth. But little by little, more complex forms appeared. Single-celled creatures, slimes, algae, polyps, and so on. But finally, the creature said, turning quite pink with pride as he appeared, as he came to the climax of the story. But finally, jellyfish appeared. Nothing much came out of me for 90 seconds. Or so, except that waves of baffled fury. Then I said, that's not fair. What do you mean? I don't know exactly what I mean. You've made some sort of point, but I don't know what it is. You don't? No, I don't. What did the jellyfish mean when it said, but finally jellyfish appeared? It meant that it was, that is what it was all leading up to. This is what the whole 10 or 15 billion years of creation were leading up to jellyfish. I agree. And why doesn't your account of creation end with the appearance of jellyfish? I suppose, I tittered, because there was more to come beyond jellyfish. That's right, creation didn't end with jellyfish. Still to come were the vertebrates and the amphibians and the reptiles and the mammals, and of course, finally man. Right. And so your account of creation ends, and finally man appeared. Yes. Meaning what? Meaning that there was more to, meaning that there was no more to come. Meaning that creation had come to an end. This is what it was all leading up to. Yes. Of course, everyone in your culture knows this. The pinnacle was reached in man. Man is the climax of the whole cosmic drama of creation. Yes. When man finally appeared, creation came to an end because its objective had been reached. There was nothing left to create. That seems to be the unspoken assumption. It's certainly not always unspoken. The religions of your culture aren't reticent about it. Man is the end product of creation. Man is the creature for whom all the rest was made. This world, this solar system, this galaxy, the universe itself. True. Everyone in your culture knows that the world wasn't created for jellyfish or salmon or iguanas or gorillas. It was created for man. That's right. Ishmael fixed me with a sardonic eye. And this is not mythology? Well, the facts are facts. Certainly, facts are facts, even when they're embodied in mythology. But what about the rest? Did the entire cosmic process of creation come to an end 3 million years ago, right here on this little planet, with the appearance of man? No. Did even the planetary process of creation come to an end 3 million years ago with the appearance of man? Did evolution come to a screeching halt just because man had arrived? No, of course not. Then why did you tell it that way? I guess I told it that way because that's the way it's told. That's the way it's told among takers. It's certainly not the only way it can be told. Okay, I see that now. How would you tell it? He nodded toward the world outside his window. Do you see the slightest evidence anywhere in the universe that creation came to an end with the birth of man? Do you see the slightest evidence anywhere out there that man was the climax toward which creation had been straining from the beginning? No, I can't even imagine what such evidence that would look like. That should be obvious. If the astrophysicists could report that the fundamental creative processes of the universe came to a halt 5 billion years ago when our solar system made its appearance, that would offer at least some support for these notions. Yes, I see what you mean. Or if the biologists and paleontologists could report that speciation came to a halt 3 million years ago, this would be suggestive. Yes. But you know that neither of these things happened, in fact. Very far from it. The universe went on as before, the planet went on as before. Man's appearance caused no more stir than the appearance of jellyfish. Very true. Ishmael gestured toward the tape recorder. So what are we to make out of this story you told? I bared my teeth in a rueful grin. It's a myth. Incredibly enough, it's a myth.